welcome to Jabberjaw. I'm your host, Jessica Dawson Collier, and with me, as always, is Tyson Wheeler Dynas and Matthew David Smith. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey,
It's been a minute. It's great to be
it
back.
has been a while. I know.
It has. It really
Maybe
has.
a lot of people are going to get that alert here. A couple days. Like, oh,
You'll be like, what?
They are still around. I haven't heard from those folks in a while. What have they been up to? And this is the result of that patience.
I think they
Thanks
assume
all for your
they
patience.
assume they assume we all got Me Too'd and just forgot about the podcast.
Right? Yes. Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's
one has to be successful enough to be canceled, I believe, and I do not know that.
We're not quite there yet.
I
We've
think
got
we're
a little
close.
ways to
I
go.
think we're close.
We're close.
We're close. We can be scandalous soon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
in
although
the near future.
for us to be Me Too'd, it would probably make the local news as well as the national news. So let's keep that down. Like, Tyson, why did you have sex with a cat? It wasn't my cat. No.
That's why we stopped at episode 90. No. Tragic foreseen events.
We're going to be on some VH1 behind the podcast show coming up.
That'd be incredible. Oh, wait.
That actually leads me into one of my topics, just real fast, and we can go past this as much as you want. But since I had some back surgery done 4 weeks ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Anyway, can't move. Anyway, so when you can't move and you don't have cable, you start to look around for shit to watch that you normally wouldn't watch. On Roku, I watch all the Mystery Science Theater episodes, which I've seen 50 times each. And then, some Rocky and Bullwinkle stuff. They have all the Malcolm Middles on there, which is great. But what's funny is that it started with me using the local antenna. Do you guys watch local antenna TV shows?
I used to, but not so much anymore.
Yeah, I haven't in a couple of years, but yeah, I definitely used to.
Yeah, they do this thing where it's like, okay, we have channel 3, 4, sorry, not 3, 4, 5, 9, 16, 24. I know I'm doing the Fibonacci sequence here, but anyway, that's not what I meant. And then you just kind of go through and they're like, okay, well, you're watching this, and then you can watch this, and this, and this. And so I just started watching all this nonsense, and I got stuck into it's this show called The Forensics Files. Do you guys remember this show?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Certainly, yeah.
Hell yeah.
So it was on from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. and every episode's just like it's just sad, the whole thing. It's like well, everyone died, but let's figure out what happened, and so anyway, so I have a Roku. We are a Roku household, and we will never change until, I don't know, 3 years later, until they come up with something better. And so what I found was that there are two stations there's two stations that just completely have sucked me in. One is Antiques Roadshow by PBS that just plays 24/7, which I can't not watch that show and watch people either have their dreams fulfilled or completely dashed, and they have nothing to do with it. It's not like a game show, right? Where it's like, well, I'll trade this shit thing that I got for what's behind curtain number 3. No, they just have some shit and it costs $0.25. And then I found another one, which is the British version, which is much drier, but everything in Britain, that they have is way older than they have in the United States. So that has been my go-to weirdness that I've been watching since I have had back surgery, and it just sucks. So it doesn't suck. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, if you have a Roku, go to Roku Live and just see what happens. It's weird. I found
it's weird.
It is. It's very weird. There's a show called Nosy. I can't tell you the name of the show, but it is every single thing that Jerry Springer produced in his entire lifetime. So
Wow.
it's not
Okay.
just Jerry Springer. It's like the Steve Wilkos show, and I don't know if you guys know who that guy is. He was the big bald guy that stopped fights. He eventually got his own show, um, and just all this weird shit that has to do with it. Also, there's a Cheaters station that just plays Cheaters 24/7. And one time, Matt and I were snowed in, and we watched, what do you want to say, 9.5 hours of Cheaters?
I think
Um,
we watched a good portion of them. Yes,
yeah. Anyway,
enough to know that love is dead.
that's right.
That's
That's
what we
right.
do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That is true. But you know what's funny about cheaters is like they'll be like, "Well, I fucking hate him. He, blah blah blah. He cheated on me. He had sex with an entire course line of girls in Las Vegas, but I did take him back because I know he didn't mean it. Anyway, I love cheaters. It's great. All right, that's into my bullshit. What are you guys doing?
Well, Tice, do you want to
uh,
talk about your back surgery? Like,
yeah, I'm.
people have asked about it. Fans have asked about it. You don't have to go into great detail, but I know that they have asked how you're doing, what happened, etc.
Sure. I always had kind of had back problems, and I would usually go in. This is probably 10 years ago. I would go in, and they give me an epidural, fix the whole problem. I'd be fine for about a year. I'd go in again. They give me an epidural.
And is that like the same thing that they give pregnant ladies? Is that
It's
is
yeah,
that correct?
it's very
Pregnant women.
similar.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
pregnant women.
it's very similar.
Or I'm sorry, a third time pregnant people. All right, go ahead, Tyson.
That's
I'm
true.
trying.
Matt, you're canceled. Sorry.
You're freaking woke,
Oh
Smith. You're
man.
so woke.
Uh,
Anyway, what's weird about it is, it usually fixes the problem. And so I hadn't had an MRI in 9 years or whatever, and it turned out that I have this thing called spinal stenosis, which is a thing where your spinal you have bones along your spine, but then they kind of squeeze in to your back, and then it makes it worse. And so my dad actually just had this surgery 4 weeks before I had my own. But yeah, they were just like, so basically what they do is I like to think of it as like, like if you're flicking, like if you ever like played that game where you fold up a piece of paper and it's in a triangle and you try to get it through you know, and to try to get
like
it.
paper
Oh yeah,
footballs.
paper
Like yeah,
football.
Paper
Yeah,
football,
yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So anyway, they flicked about 6 of those things off, and anyway, and then like sort of shaved down the discs in between uh, 4, 5, and 6. So anyway, it worked great. It did a great job. The weird part about that is that when they do that, your nerves have to reconnect because like because you've done some damage, and so yeah, but it seems so it's been 4 weeks last Friday, so it's I'm doing pretty good, I would have to say. I felt bad because when they were telling me what was happening, I was like, oh shit, this is exactly what my dad just had surgery for. Didn't want to tell him about it. I was like, no, because it took him over a year to get the surgery. I just went to the hospital because I was in such pain, and they did it in 2 days. So anyway, but yeah, so they shaved a bunch of stuff down. To be honest with you, aside from the nerve endings reconnecting with my left leg, which is not fun, to be honest with you, but it is getting better. So I remember the neurosurgeon came in and he's like, "You probably should take care of this." And I'm like, "Well, I'm in the hospital already, so whatever." Um, so here's my favorite thing about that whole thing is that I came to after they did the surgery, and I was in a room, and I was looking around the room, and obviously, I had Versed and all this stuff, and I mean, I didn't know what the fuck. I knew what was going on. I knew I had surgery, but I could
Mhm.
not figure out what was going on. And so I look around the room, and what it reminds me of is this chain that was in a western Kansas place called ALCO.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
Remember
remember
Alco?
Alco?
there was one in
Yeah.
Alco.
Hayes, there was one in Hill City, there was one, whatever. So I kind of sat up in bed and looked around, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in the clearance aisle in Alco. What the shit is happening to me?" And I'm not joking. I'm not joking at all. And so this nice lady who was trying to take care of me, lady meaning medical personnel,
Professional.
she goes, "Are you okay?" And the first thing I asked her was, "Well, how many albums have you put out?" Because in some weird way, I was in music hell, purgatory, and I had not put out enough records to get my shit together. And
Uh-huh.
so she's like, "Well, none, I guess." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." Okay, all right. How about everybody else in here? How many records have they put out? And then that's the end of the conversation that I remember. Anyway, they rolled me out about 2 hours later. Do not remember this, but she came up to Beth and she was like, "He asked about records and how many records we had put out." And, and I was like, and she's like, "Well, he has put out like 6 records." And she's like, "Oh, well, that's fucking weird, but whatever. All right, I'm glad he's doing okay." So anyway, I guess when I go to that great Alco heaven in the sky, one of the big things I will be worried
That's what
about,
heaven is like in Alco in Western Kansas. I like that.
you know, uh, and as I kept thinking about it and how weird that was, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this. Alco went out of business for 3 years in a row. They just kept selling shit, but they were going out of business. I don't know if you guys remember this at all, but
I don't
um,
remember like where was there an Alcos in Hayes or Waukene or
it was
where was your regional Alco?
it was in the it was in Hayes, and it was behind the Hayes Visitor Center off of 23rd
Yeah,
and Vine.
Smith, it's where that furniture store is at now.
Yes.
Ashley's Furniture.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
okay.
Um,
There was like a lot of things after that. It lived a lot of lives
it
after
it
that.
did.
did.
But
Very much
Yeah.
so.
Alco was going out of sale for 3 years, and then they just kept getting new stuff in, and people would come in and buy it, myself included. Some pretty hardcore, weird to find GI Joe figurines. Anyway, uh, anyway, everything's going pretty well with my back. It's not so bad. I have to take it easy. Beth makes sure that I take it easy and all that stuff. But
Are
anyway,
you doing like physical therapy and stuff like that for
Th-
it?
they won't let me start physical therapy until the 10th of next month because of the way that the nerve endings were split up.
Okay.
So anyway, so yeah, I'll start that. But I have short-term disability. God bless America, uh, and so anyway,
Score.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not losing any money, but I am losing brain cells watching reruns of Jerry Springer. So I mean, I don't know, one or the other. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, that's what's been going on with me. So sorry, Matt, you went on a trip, right?
Yeah, we've been on a couple trips. The weekend before last, we went with a couple sort of friends of ours and their kids to an 80-acre, just kind of a cabin with its own little lake. And so it was just kind of a nice, quiet weekend. We had gorgeous weather. We're actually kind of in the middle of a kind of a weird drought for Indiana. We got a lot more rain than Kansas ever did, which is interesting because
That is
we,
interesting.
we have
It's like
trees,
flip
and
flopped.
that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it was just really nice. We great little lake. We kayaked basically the whole trip, like which was just fantastic. It was like especially just being on like a private lake. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you kayak, don't you, Dawson?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
have? Yeah.
We have high kayaks in the garage. We haven't taken them out in a
We've got
year, but
a similar
uh,
situation. Yeah, similar situation.
yeah.
No, it was just, but it was so great because I think the thing about it is like kayaking is like always such a. It's like skiing or anything. It's like, oh, you got to load it onto the car, and then you got to go somewhere, and then you do it,
Big
and then
time.
then you feel like, oh, I got to do this all day because I just did all this shit so I could kayak. And the great thing about like having a
So
private
true.
lake,
Yeah.
which is like we can just hop out there for like 20 minutes and then like just come back. It was really,
Oh,
really
hell
nice,
yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice. It's just great little trip. Lots of interesting wildlife. The first night was actually the coolest because like the bullfrogs. I'm assuming they were bullfrogs. They were frogs. They were making sounds. Thus, for this narrative, bullfrog. And they just went back and forth, and so it was just deafeningly loud, like just crazy loud.
Hmm.
And the first night, Thursday night, was the only night that it ever did it. Every other night, because when people came a little after, we were like, oh my god, you could hear this, and never did it again. So fuck you, bullfrogs. One night only, but it was cool. It was
On,
very
on,
cool. It was very
on,
loud.
honestly, Matt, when you said that the bullfrogs, the next thought that came in my head that I hoped you said was, and then the shotgun came out, and
No, and then the other cool thing that happened the same night was that there was there was woods obviously all over the place, and there was this bush of trees, just this area of trees where there were just like tons and tons of lightning bugs, and it looked like
Awesome.
fireworks. Like it was the
Yeah.
coolest thing because there were like 10 or 15 probably going off a second, and I mean I've seen like fireflies, lightning bugs all my life. I've never seen anything like that. So that was super cool
That
to
is.
kind of just see some nature, get back to nature. Yeah, just really, really nice, relaxing trip. It's fun to play with the kids. They were running all over the place. Crashed a drone. That was sad. I was,
Oh, shit.
yeah, I got a little overconfident with my flying abilities and hit the wrong button, and it just took a beeline wrong way into a tree, and it died a very quick and painless death. So,
Uh-huh.
but other than that, it's a really fun trip. And then this last weekend, Kathy had an IU alumni event up down in Bloomington.
Hmm.
And so really cool little city. If you haven't been to Bloomington, think the Lawrence of Indiana. That's like kind of the easiest comparison.
Can
It's
I
a little
start
college
telling
town.
candidates that actually? Because I'm trying to get people to move to Normal, Illinois. And I've heard Bloomington is like pretty close by.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a really cool town, and I like my younger sister lived there for a few years. Well, I believe she was doing her master's degree at Indiana
Hmm.
University, and so I'd been there. And yeah, it was just kind of a cool little town. But we actually got to spend the afternoon there on Saturday, and we just like went to like this like used record store, and I bought like this old like '60s looking calendar. They just had random crap everywhere. The dude like was just like the most intense record dude. So like he could and would talk to you for goddamn ever and recommend things forever if you let it.
That's the
Like
best. Yeah.
super sweet guy, but just like you guys know those guys. Like they just
Yeah.
like I don't know shit about music. Like I like they just like
They
they are just
know everything.
librarians of
Yeah.
like because he's listening to like just he's asking me about my T-shirt and he's like, oh, have you heard this? Answers on New Button Records. And I think we've still got a copy, and he's listening to some like tribal stuff. It's just that was cool. Then we went to a neat little used bookstore, and just I went to a little Thai place that was in a house. So yeah, just nice, really kind of quiet community, just people very friendly. So it was really nice. And then we went to see last night. We went to go see Elvis Costello,
how
which
was
Oh, yeah.
I'd
it was
see?
actually really good. And so I'd never seen Elvis Costello before, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be like because it was at a new venue here. It's been around for a couple of years called the Brown County Music Center, which I'm guessing is probably about a 5,000 seat venue. If I had to off the top of my head, probably 3 to 5,000 seat venue, but it's brand new. So it's got all the new lights and all the sound stuff's awesome. And so it was a really good show. And Elvis himself actually like commented on how cool the video was a couple times, which was really neat. So it was interesting. So the opener was Nick Lowe.
Oh wow.
So some of you may know him from Cruel to Be Kind. I think that was, and then he's sort of taken more of he's kind of like country, early rock crossover. That's kind of the direction he's going to always been in.
He's
That
been
was kind of
around. He's been around forever, though.
he's been around for a long time. And so it was him and I'm forgive me for not remembering the name of the opening band, drum roll. But The it's something, it was Lost something, and they were an acoustic band that wore mariachi masks.
Oh, Los Lobos. You
Yeah,
saw Los
no, it
Lobos.
wasn't Los Lobos. That's
Oh.
that's the other Los. Hold on, I will find this out. Los, and it's not Los Lonely Boys, which also it would be Los genre. Something Elvis Costello. See if that works. Um,
I did see. I did
yeah, no.
at the House of Blues, not the House of Blues, the Hard Rock Cafe. I saw Elvis Costello play, uh, and it was great. I mean, he's great. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it was no.
you
So
know,
opener was interesting because like it was very kind of in that new vein of like what he wanted to play, very just kind of like that early rock. And so, but Elvis's show was kind of a split between kind of the stuff people wanted to hear, or as he called it, which the songs with girls' first names in them, and then it's but he talked, which is cool, and that was kind of I thought that there was a discussion to be had about the show. It was a great show. The,
okay. I just have my
Go ahead.
favorite. My favorite song by him is Veronica. Do you play
Mhm.
Veronica?
He did not, and Kathy was
Oh,
also disappointed that he did not play Veronica. Ironically enough, yeah, he
I
did
mean,
not. Yeah,
Allison's great, but Veronica is my favorite. So
yeah. Now he played almost every other song that most people know except for Veronica. So yeah, that was the one which I was surprised because like it was we were kind of in a rural crowd, so there was some people yelling out like what to request, and it's just, you get a little
yeah.
bit of that.
Yeah.
But it was kind of nice, and then he played like three or four kind of new songs, and then rearranged a couple things to be either more acoustic, and it sounded awesome because you had like a pianist and like like a synth guy. It was the imposters, which I don't know if that's just like a catch-all term for everybody he plays with since. Um,
I I've
I
won-
meant to look it up, but I didn't.
I've wondered that too because the Imposters were a very specific band. So I don't know that they've been swapped out or not.
Okay,
I should look
but
that up.
it was them, and then Charlie Sexton, which I don't know if either of you, which is a really kind of he had a really obscure hit called "Beat So Lonely" in
That
like about
is
No.
1985, and he
that
was
is
like kind of a heartthrob, kind of like British like
Really?
heartthrob. Yes,
I mean
think
Okay.
Corey Hart, but British.
yeah, or Rick Astley, but British.
Yes, very much
Yeah.
so. Yeah, very much so. But he was
Oh,
his
yeah.
lead
Okay.
guitarist, and he was great. Like he was really really good. And so yeah, he played a couple new things, which I thought were pretty good. Things from like the last 3 or 4 years that were pretty good, and then some. But I think the main point was he had conversations with the crowd, not a lot, but enough. I like that, like especially at a show like that where it's just like it's cool to engage, and he comments on what's going on, and he definitely was sort of cueing everybody else. So he wasn't. I don't think they had a set list,
Mm.
which kind of it was interesting. But there was enough change ups that like his guitar, as Kathy pointed out, his guitar tech like must have been like the most frustrated dude in the world because like he'd like bring him out two guitars and he'd wave him off. So like I think that dude was like going
uh,
nuts. But like
uh,
the setup was insane. I mean, like just all the equipment and just like everybody was great. There's an upright bass player. There's a double bass player. Some dude played a wood. I mean, it just really sounded really good. Great show. And he was having fun, which I think like I love to see that. Like it's
That's
actually
cool.
okay as a musician to emote enjoyment on the stage. I know that's as a for my genre specifically. I know that sounds very ironic, but it is okay to have a good time while you're up there. And so
it should be. That's a
yeah,
good time.
it should be yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's old. Like Elvis is, I don't
I
know.
was gonna
He's got to
say,
be in his
how
late.
old is he
He's
now? Because he
got to
played
be
in
in
New
his.
York, like when I was living there. Long story short, I didn't go to the show, but he was
Yeah,
already up there.
I think that actually, he's younger than I would have thought he is. 68, so he's not actually as old as Yeah. So, but no, really, really good show. Great weekend.
All right, I have a question because when I saw them, and I mean, I did really enjoy the show. Alison Krauss opened for them. I don't know if you guys knew who that is, but her drummer was the drummer from the Smithereens, who I had uh, problems with previously in my career. But anyway, it wasn't his fault. It was my fault. And but they never played "Watching the Detective." Did they play that?
They did not play that either. That was the other one. Sorry, that was the other one that I was hoping to hear that they did not play Watching the Detectives because that's one of my That actually might be my favorite Elvis Costello
That's a
song. Now that I
fucking
think about it.
great song. I mean, that's my second favorite song after Veronica, and I
Yeah.
know Veronica was co-written by Paul McCartney, and I get that, and I get the whole thing, and I love that whole record. But yeah, like
Yeah.
Watching the Detectives is just a fucking awesome song.
Well, the interesting thing he commented on, which I think I'd known and forgot about, was he wrote with Burt Bacharach for like
He did.
he said 3 decades. Like they like worked on stuff. And he one of the times he was sort of engaging the crowd, he talked about kind of when Burt Bacharach was kind of like getting towards the end, like he gave him a box set of like everything that like they had worked on like over their career. I was actually, I'm not a huge, I think the What's Up Pussycat, I think was the reference he used, the one all used, because that's the easiest reference to Burt.
Yeah.
But apparently, he wrote a ton of stuff, for
Burt
the
Bacharach
greats.
is very famous for starting. He wrote jingles for commercial and radio television. That's where he got. That's where he got
I
started.
did not know that. Interesting.
But he just kept working with better and better musicians because they're like, oh, including Barry Manilow of all people. It's just
Cool.
so it's like, yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you like the show because
Yeah, it was.
I was super excited to see it when I saw it.
Yeah, it was really good, really good. I got cheap seats, and but it was a small enough venue to where it was great. It was a really good show. So,
You saw,
Dawson, what have you been doing like over the last like month?
say.
Not a whole lot. I mean, I've had friends I feel like visit for the past 3
Oh,
weekends.
that's a good question. How many kids are you gonna have now?
Yeah, I was telling the guys a fun story about so one of my other best friends, Charlotte, who I've known since first grade, her and her kiddos and her mom, who I call Sweet Cheeks, they were in town on Friday and Saturday.
And you call her
Thursday,
You
Friday,
call her Sweet Cheeks because she called you.
Bug Eyes.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
for
okay.
as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
So that's our relationship to each other. And Charlotte's kids are exactly her in very different ways. It's crazy. I mean, like you guys know this with your other friends' kids. It's like you just see these little like as they develop and form their personalities, like you see your friend in them in the weirdest ways and in the weirdest places. And so, especially with her kiddo, Madison, who's her youngest, she's like 5 or 6, but she is like spot on Charlotte. She's got the booty. She's got the bad like attitude when it comes to most things. Like it is creepy. And so out of nowhere, we're just walking around Lafayette, Colorado, where I live. And she looks up at me and she's like kind of glaring a little bit. And she's like, why don't you have kids? And I'm like, I literally go, and then Charlotte answered for me. She's like, because she's smart. And then Madison was like, you could tell she was thinking about it. And then she asked me again later when it was just her and I. And I was like, because I couldn't be a cool auntie to you if I had kids. And she was like, I think you'd be a good mom. And then she just kind of walked off. And I was like, that should make my ovaries cry. But I have been around so many screaming children lately where I was like, still not happening. They're locked for business. So yeah, that
it all depends on the child. Just like
it really does. Yeah,
just find like a polar opposite kid and just let that kid, and your ovaries will shrivel right back up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. It'll happen. I'm supposed to be on a flight this weekend, so I'm sure. Yeah, they'll go right back out the window.
There you go.
Yeah. But no, it's been good. Yeah, working on my tan. Getting out by the
looks
pool.
like it. Yeah.
I got a little tan line. See that? Yeah.
Are you doing that via the pool, or are you doing it via the Scrimshaw version of just spraying down? And
the D Trump version of becoming tan. No, I'm doing it via the pool, which for everybody out there, like I am wearing SPF 70 plus. Like I'm taking care of my skin for the most part.
Are we gonna get letters again? God damn it.
Mostly from my mom. Mom, I'm wearing it. It's okay. Yeah. And my dermatologist even said, she's like, because I have this stuff on the back of my arms. It's like for I don't know, like, well, better way to put it's like chicken skin. And it kind of bothers me sometimes in the winter because I have Swedish skin. It's very pale. And she's like, this summer, just make sure get a tan and it will just kind of blend in. And I'm like, really? You're a dermatologist and you're telling me that, okay, I'll do that. But she's like, wear the SPF and, be aware of sunspots and shit like that. So I am
Well,
taking care of myself
that's
is
good.
the moral of that.
I used to at some point, somewhere in my 20s, I was like, okay, you're gonna go somewhere, and you're gonna be outside, and you're gonna get sunburned, so you need to prep your body for it a little bit, right? And that's what people do, right? Like, and that makes total sense. Um, Unfortunately for me, like it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, you look kind of tan, so let's oh, I don't know. Let's put a shit ton of freckles on your back, I guess. I don't know. The sun and my body have an agreement, and they do the whole thing. But
I feel like I've seen you tan a couple times. I feel like Smith out of the three of us probably tans the best,
I
I
think he
would
does
say.
too. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's real hard to because it's like I have such a marginal like I burn so freaking quickly and easily that like it's
Yeah.
a like I have to like just naturally expose myself to the elements for about 4 minutes a day.
I just remember when we went to Country Stampede many, many
Oh
moons ago.
wow. Ah,
We all got sunburnt, but I feel like you, Smith, like yours turned to a tan before everybody else's. Maybe
yeah.
that's just my drunken
Oh
recollection,
no,
but
it probably
yeah.
happened in like 45 minutes. I'm like a like a an indicator for everyone else. It's like, oh, how dark is Smith? Oh shit, it's time to go in. So yeah, yeah,
It's true.
I've had some epic sunburns in my life.
Me
Yeah.
too. Jesus
Oh
Christ.
God.
Have you
Oh
guys ever had to go to the hospital for a sunburn?
I have. I have.
No shit.
Well,
yeah,
Oh,
I did not. So
I
I,
haven't
gue-
either.
I guess
It's gotten bad, but not that bad.
it wasn't a hospital per se, but I was at golf camp when I was 15, because clearly I was a rock star as a teenager. It's like, oh, what are you doing? Going to golf camp? Yeah, we'll have sex with you when you're 26. Anyway, but I what happened was I was the whole day. I don't know if you play golf, but you sit down
Does
and
Top Golf count?
that's fine.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
you
cool.
put your head. It's fine. It does the same
uh,
thing. You put your
All
head
right.
down and then you swing and whatever. And so I was out there for I don't know, like 12 hours, during the sun. The next morning I woke up and I was like, this is weird. And I had a blister the size
Ooh.
of a banana behind my neck. So
Whoa.
and so
like
everybody
an
was like,
airplane pillow.
yeah, it was. I was like, and so
Ugh.
I didn't it didn't actually hurt, but I was like, this is a little weird. Why is all this fluid in the back of like anyway, it's very strange. And so they took me. It was the camp was actually at Wichita State University, so they they whisked me off to the good people that take care of the athletes, and they're like, oh, that's not very good. So they used a scalpel and they sliced it all the way across
Oof.
to get all that stuff out of there. And then for the rest of the trip, I had to wear a hat that was incorporated with a towel. Kind of like a Lawrence of Arabia type situation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, totally.
yeah.
And so like, and it didn't really hurt. I mean, I was 15. Things don't really hurt unless you get kicked in the balls when you're 15. So, so anyway, yeah. So that was a very strange one. I wish somebody would have taken a picture of it because it was weird. But anyway, I've always been kind of careful about getting sunburns at this point. A couple or last year, uh, they sell these things now where you can put on these like water type. I guess you would call it a like a hoodie, and then you can tighten it up around your face, and then you wear it. And so I, you know, looked like powder out there running around on a beach.
Mhm.
Oh, That's if anyone gets that reference, 5 plus
Fucking love Powder. Powder's an underrated
It's an
movie, in my
excellent film.
opinion.
It's an excellent
Yeah.
film.
Anyway, so I've always been trying to be very careful about that. But yeah, yeah, and I actually do remember this, Matt. We would go somewhere outside for like a whole day, and the next day you would look fine. And I was always like, this is bullshit. I was like,
It's true.
everything about Matt and I are very same, except that he has a couple pluses. His spine is in perfect situation, and we learned that from Paul, Megan's wife. I
He
mean,
did say I had a very nice
He
spine.
we
did. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
we came
That's
home
hilarious.
from the bar, and Paul was like, "You want an adjustment?" You know, it's like 2:30 in the morning. We're all drunk. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I love an adjustment." And he click 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 click, and then Matt's like, "I'll take one," and he's like, "Oh, your spine's perfect. What the fuck is that about? That's weird." And didn't do anything about it. And I was like, God bless America.
And yet I still have back pain, so I don't know. I think it's just a
Well, that's part of my big thing with my back pain. I had real back pain, which is why I went to the hospital before I got the surgery. And I was like, they told me if I lost enough weight, you wouldn't have back pain. Well, I've lost 110 pounds. And I'm like, and they're like, I was like, well, no, guess not. It doesn't doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're still gonna have a bad fucking spinal injury. But anyway, sorry.
Backs, who needs them, right?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Am
We
I
all
right?
need
Am I right?
them.
Right. Women be shopping. Am I right? Um, anyway,
Oh man. Well, it's been a minute. Should we do some headlines?
sure,
Maybe?
sure.
Possibly?
Certainly.
All
Sure.
right. I'm gonna try
Absolutely.
this out. It's been a minute. Headline of the week. Of the month. Sorry.
Of the month. I actually
Uh,
did have to go back and I just sort of edited down to the last like 10
I did
days.
too.
I made an
Yeah.
executive decision at 10 days. Uh,
That's pretty good.
that's
Anything
good.
I'm
prior
gonna
to
try to
that,
keep
like
that.
a lot of shit happened more than 10 days ago. But
Yeah, a lot of weird shit has
a
happened.
lot of
Matt,
Lots
weird
of
shit.
weird
Matt, why,
shit.
Matt,
But
why
we'll
don't you
never
go?
know because it didn't meet the deadline. So sorry if this is where you get your news.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for your support.
We failed you. Yeah.
Matt, go ahead. I only have
Sure,
notes.
I will pull up. Had a handful. Uh, so I thought maybe I didn't have a specific headline for this one because they were just all over the place. But I thought we'd all probably the event that captured a nation and then captured another nation that was pissed off for having that major captured by an incident. So as I'm talking about the sinking of the not submarine but submersible that happened
Yeah.
last
Yes.
weekend, I believe, is when it occurred. And it would,
Yep.
if you somehow missed this story, you must be the boy in the balloon because this was absolutely freaking everywhere. Uh, so what happened was there's this billionaire dude who built himself a submarine, but it's not really a submarine; it's a
Not really.
submersible. And as
Yep.
what I've since learned is that a submersible really is just a tank that has the ability to basically sink to the bottom of the ocean. It has very limited mobility. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. It's basically, it has a little bit of maneuverability, but not a lot. So anyway, so this group went down like on a Friday, and they didn't hear anything from them. And so like 8 hours later, they reported them missing, and then a world awaits. And so basically over the weekend, we had all these updates, and then, oh, we think we hear banging and they're going to be alive. And then come Monday, Sunday morning, no, they're all dead. And by the way, we knew 3 days ago that they were all
Yeah,
dead.
exactly. Yeah,
That was the part that was kind of fucked up.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
it was really pretty much, I think it was James Cameron and some other guy were talking, and then they said he made a comment about how as soon as he knew they didn't had all the that they had lost total communication, there were no feedback. He's like, that thing imploded. He was like, but I've got all these people out there with candles, and I'm like, I don't want to be the rain. So he sort of held off. The U.S. Navy also did a similar thing. They detected, which by the way, is freaking incredible that they can detect underwater implosions from hundreds of just
Oh,
mind-boggling stuff.
yeah,
But
it's
Well, they
impressive,
they
yeah.
use basically like a sonar system, right?
yeah, the interesting thing I thought was, I think it was Cameron that said this. He's like, even if they did find it, there was nothing they could do, like, because
right,
it
yeah,
was at the bottom of the ocean. So he's like, because he said this was unique in that it held up to 5 passengers, which we'll get to in a minute, because most of the other ones that could reach that depth only held 2 people. And even if you got down there, there's no way to like come aboard. So really, like, there was no way to save it if they did. So it was tragic in that, right? I guess a lot of really wealthy people. The one dude I sort of feel really bad for was the teenage kid who was like
The
19 and
kid,
told his mom
yeah,
like he didn't really want to go, and his
yeah,
dad was like, "Toughen up, son," and he did.
come on,
Um,
son, let's be part of history.
yeah, but so it was really interesting to see kind of anyway. But there seemed to also be this huge backlash that people were paying attention to this story. And
That's true.
I
That's
do I do get that in a sense that, like, yeah, there were other tragedies around the world that are happening, but there's no uniqueness to this. Like, there are lots of things that detract our attention. Just because this was a news story, like the Kardashians are a thing, like
true.
they
Right.
detract
true.
sometimes intelligent attention away from things. It was just weird to me. Like, and I get like the argument. I just thought it was weird that like this was the thing. Maybe it was billionaires dying. Maybe people just like when a billionaire dies, they're just like it feels a little better. I don't know. Like like the only way I can think of is just like which generally I kind of support that mode of thinking. But anyway, that was my thoughts on the whole submersible incident. And yeah, basically they just after the fact they apparently the issue was there were a few things, but including the fact that it was driven by a $29 like PC controller,
Right.
which was just if
Right.
you saw that somebody
Which
like
is
posted this.
hilarious.
There was like this
Oh
Logitech
god.
controller. There was like a gaming pad for an Xbox that was like $19. But the bigger issue was that the hole that he designed used carbon fiber, and there were all these studies about people out there that were like, yeah, that's not going to work at those depths. And even though it had worked a few times at that depth, their sort of gut instinct said, yeah, it'll work for a while, but it's going to start developing cracks and eventually it won't work.
Right.
And
Right.
I think this was just one of those really interesting things where the hubris of like being a billionaire, because he was
Exactly.
very proud of the thing that like
Exactly.
this was my design. And he made several comments about everyone else is using 60-year-old technology where they're not using anything new. And so, just probably good food for thought and like, how to live your life. Don't like, if you have an eccentric billionaire in your life and he owns a submarine, let him go out and tell you how the trip went later, because it's
Well,
just
couple thoughts on that. First off, like I don't know if you saw the submersible, but it looked like an anhydrous tank that you would buy if you were a farmer. And
yes,
then you would
yeah,
just run around your fucking
Yeah.
field, and then
Yeah.
a bunch of meth heads would, drain it dry and then have meth. Uh, but the other thing, so one of my kind of comedy heroes, Mike Reese, who writes for The Simpsons, actually went on one of these things before it collapsed, and I'm pretty sure that he didn't interview him for the new stuff. Basically, they took an old interview from what he said about it, and what he said was like, "I thought I'd feel claustrophobic, but I didn't. I fell asleep actually on the whole way down until we hit the floor, and I was like." Oh, this is pretty neat. And I'm like, you lucky son of a bitch.
yeah,
Because, right, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but the captain slash CEO of this company was driving it down, right? Wasn't he the,
I think that's right. Yeah, because there was another like pilot mentioned, but he wasn't on board. So I think it was the CEO dude, and then like 4, I guess, the passengers or
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
the good news is they, you know, died, exploded immensely because,
That's true. That's a much better way to go than waiting at the bottom of the ocean. Yeah, that's a movie right there, and nobody
right,
wants.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there will be a movie, Matt. Disney has already bought the rights. I guarantee it. But there will definitely be a movie
Have
of
you
it.
seen the fake movie
So it's
posters?
this is going to be the first Disney movie I'm guessing that has an implosion of just right, just right at the.
Well, there's so many like fake movie posters. Like my favorite one is what is it, Titanic 2, and it's got the CEO, and like Titanic is all gloomy on the bottom, and then it's got the CEO like faded in on top, and then it's got the game controller like faded in on the other side.
Jeez.
Fucking hilarious. I mean, but also like a little too soon, guys.
Again,
Well,
right, yeah, again, right. Like it's interesting. I think it's kind of an interesting feedback loop of like there was just this weird thing about this, and people were like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, fuck them." Like it just was.
yeah,
Oh
no, no,
yeah.
no. No. I think anytime a bunch of billionaires die doing something stupid, everyone's like, "Who gives a fuck?" They're like, "That is too bad." You know. But
Yeah. At least
if Joe from the I don't know, the packing line from Amazon.com, in Spokane, Washington, went down there and died, that would be pretty bad, right? And people would be like, "Well, that sucks." But these guys were all billionaires. And again, like Matt said, one of these guys didn't want to go. The kid, I think, right?
yeah, the
Yeah,
kid,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was
You know,
19. It was 19, and yeah,
like, I don't know.
yeah.
But the whole thing reminded me of that whole situation where, like, Bezos took uh, uh,
Shatner.
Shatner up, and
Oh
then
yeah.
And then they're like, he was like, "Well, what was it like?" And Shatner's like, "Well, let me tell you a thing about blah blah blah." And then Bezos runs off to shoot some champagne in the corner, and stops listening to it. I'm like, okay, but yeah, what a fucking. Well, I mean, but again, like I said, like this is. I'm sure that guy made a lot of money turning a fucking anhydrous tank into a submarine and dropped down. He was like, "Well, we've done it 3 times. It obviously works, right?"
Yeah,
Sure.
But
Yeah. Good track
yeah.
record.
And now he's probably decimated that industry for 2 decades. Like
oh
nobody's
yeah,
going
At
down there anytime
least.
soon.
At
I
Yeah.
least.
I told Beth, I was like, "Well, that company is bankrupt the fuck right now," and
Oh
she's like,
yeah.
"Yeah, but they're not bankrupt." I'm like, "They will be in just like 10 minutes." Just like, I think this is no way.
Yeah, that was the one thing I actually learned from it was that Cameron's like James Cameron's been down there like 33 times, which I'm sure that's the most of anybody. But I was like that's pretty badass. Like I mean, not
Yeah.
in like the traditional sense, but it just like yeah, this shit's interesting, and I'm willing to die to see it again. Like 33 times. I mean, you know,
It's the difference between like Cameron getting specs from Jacques Cousteau's team versus this other guy getting specs from Reddit or subreddit somewhere. Like where he was like, it should work, right? I mean, I guarantee it'll work. But
Oh.
I guess I'll move on. I guess let me see if I've what do I get? What I got? What do I got? What I got? Oh, I do have a nice little segue for this one. We're talking about douchebag billionaires. So
Oh, you're gonna say it, aren't you? Okay, go for
one
it.
one of the stupidest things. I just if you have any doubt that we've reached peak stupidity, just like 4 or 5 days
Wait.
ago, I don't remember who started the fight, but so
I
I don't
know.
even know.
I know who it was. It was
So
Elon.
it was okay. So Elon Musk of Elon Musk fame, uh, basically challenged Mark Zuckerberg to a cage match. Little background on this before we proceed in this just true shining moment of American
I
exceptionalism.
mean, he went straight to the cage match. It could have been like an arm wrestling event.
Right.
No, he went.
So
Yeah.
so as we'll get to, Elon's a very tough man. Uh, so so there was a video a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw this, and I think Elon made a comment about it. But there was a video of Zuckerberg like at like some form of taekwondo or some sort of martial
Yeah.
art where he
Yeah.
was given the shit referee the referee shit about like him losing the match or something. Turns out though he's actually pretty legitimately kind of good at it, like for whatever it is. I don't know what it is, but anyway, so Elon challenges him. Mark accepts almost immediately. Cage match is
He
on.
said like, "Show me your location" or "Show me the
Yeah, he
location" or
did. Yeah,
some
he
dumb
did.
shit like that.
Which is just like oh my God, just can one of you, like, do these people not have people? Like, my God, like this is the problem this is why you don't hear from politicians. because they were smart enough to realize that they're not smart enough to communicate with the general public. These people have not figured this out, but people love it. So anyway, challenges him to a cage match. The head douchebag at the whatever douchebag federation of kickboxing and punching, etc., says, "I'm going to hold the match," and then where did the link go? Oh yes, and then Elon Musk's mother steps in to halt the cage fight with Mark Zuckerberg, advises to choose verbal battle only. So Elon's mommy stepped in at the last minute.
Thanks, Mom.
And said to use his words. Now, as much as I hate Elon Musk and his entire family, I love seeing Elon tied to his mommy because that's where all of Elon's money comes from, is the Emerald Mine.
Yep.
So apparently this stupidity is over. I'm kind of glad that it is. So kudos to Elon's mom, I guess, for embarrassing him. But this is just like, I am kind of happy. There is an ugly side of me that would have wanted to see this, but it's just gross.
Oh, I think there's a Peter Pan inside of me that wanted to see that. I mean,
yeah, totally.
Take those gloves off. Take the gloves off. Let's fight for real. It would just turn into a fucking bitch slap fest,
Total slap fest, yeah.
They would be like, oh, well, how do you close your finger? Well, I can't. I gotta type. I got carpal tunnel on, so I gotta just slap. Like everybody.
I'd love to be the legal team for either one of those, companies, and just being like, okay, our CEOs are physically, going to assault one another. What are the implications of this? Like, it is like literally they're fighting it out on national television. They would have made a ton of money.
Would have, yeah.
To be fair, I would not have paid for that on pay-per-view, but I definitely would have watched it,
Oh, absolutely,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I would have gone to the bar like every other good American and watched it on their TV.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Next headline. What's going on with Reddit? So, did either of you see any of this or hear about any of this the last couple of weeks?
I saw some of it. Yeah.
So there's this big battle. So for those that don't know, I'm a big Reddit user. I've been on Reddit for not a whole long time, but 3 or 4 years. But it's been around for close to a decade, if not a little more. And it's basically this independent community. Think of it like Facebook, but like anonymous Facebook. And so everyone's anonymous. You have a username, and then they have what they call subreddits, which I believe Tyson mentioned earlier, which is basically just a user-built community based on a subject. So, for example, I have a subreddit. I am not to fill you guys in, also I'm the mod of Wax Tracks subreddit. So
oh my goodness,
152 followers. Thank you very much.
Damn, Smith. All right, kudos.
And so, but anyway, so what basically happened is there's a new CEO of Reddit, and Reddit wants to go public. They want to be an IPO, and what do you want to do before you go IPO? You want to show that you're actually trying to make some money at the very least.
Somehow.
Yes.
So they changed the policy. There's a lot of third-party applications that people use basically to interface with Reddit that aren't like the official app. Right. And so what they did is these APIs.
They're co-opting the APIs and putting it into different programs, right?
Right. So I think Reddit has basically offered these APIs for free or no cost basically forever. And so all these people have built these platforms around them. And then they decided, well, because we need to start monetizing, we got to start making a shit ton of money. And they basically put in these fees. It's like a per transaction fee basically with an API call. Anyway, but they were basically, everybody said, this will put us out of business in a month. Like it's just that absurd. And basically stating that they do want to sort of centralize things, and they don't really want to support the API. And so that's kind of the claim from the third parties, is like they're purposely raising these, and it kind of looks like that based on how resistant they are to work with them on the fees. They're like, the fees are what they are. So there's been all this back and forth between the CEO. But the sort of the weird things that I noticed is that about a week ago I logged on, and there's this subreddit called Mildly Interesting, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's pictures of shit that people are like, that's mildly interesting, like pictures on the street, or so anyway, but there was all this hardcore porn in my feed all of a sudden, and I was like, what the hell happened? And I was like, did this get hacked or something? Well, what a lot of these subreddits did was they went to a not safe for work platform where they basically took all restrictions off and basically told their community, hey, just go nuts, because these are some of the most mildly interesting, is like one of the most popular subreddits on Reddit. It tells you a little bit about the kind of people that are on Reddit, I guess. But basically, so a bunch of subreddits, mildly interesting, just several big subreddits went to not safe for work. So there's all this porn all of a sudden everywhere. The reason they were doing it is because not safe for work, there was something where they weren't able to monetize any of those threads. And so by those channels going to a not safe for work, Reddit could not monetize anything at all from them. So they were losing everything from them. So it's been a weird battle. A lot of those have gone kind of back and forth, but what's changed, I think most of mildly interesting is back and family friendly once again, for all our enjoyment. But it was really interesting to see the Reddit community turn on, when they really tried to sell it. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell the thing. I can see it from both sides. Like, obviously Reddit has to make money somehow, but I think they're probably, they just probably should have thought things through a little.
Well, they should have thought things before they started doing it. But again, if shit costs money, people aren't going to use it, right?
That's the thing, right? And it's like, and I hate to say it, but like, it is this kind of thing that allows Reddit to be what Reddit is. Like, it is this like conflict, I guess what I'm trying to say is like why shit turns into Facebook and shit turns into Twitter. I don't know. I'm going to get into it. Nah. Let's go on to another one. Does Judge Alito hear himself? So this is kind of nuts. Again, Supreme Court's corrupt. Judge Alito, basically, there's a really, really good organization out there called ProPublica, which even in my little tiny cog of the legislative system I've been contacted by them a couple times asking questions.
Wow.
So they are just, and really what ProPublica is about is they're all about just making sure shit's basically on the up and up. Is that kind of what would be your description? Like, they really do a lot of investigation just to make sure. I don't know. How would you describe the organization, Tyson? I'm kind of at a loss.
Well, I guess their thing is just it's a note for the public record of what's happening, regardless of whether it's good or bad, right? I mean, that's kind of their thing, right?
Yeah. And so anyway, so their latest thing was they were going to release, and I forget what day of the week it was, they were about to release an article about Judge Alito, taking trips with billionaires and fishing and pictures of marlins and happy douchebags all over the place.
Hey.
Welcome to Florida. So, so he gets busted, but before the report comes out, he writes this op-ed, which basically just says, it's misleading, like, I could have disclosed this, but I didn't have to. And basically it's a bunch of him citing like all these nuanced legal reasons why he was in the right. And to me, this is just like it's just like, why, like, this should not be happening. Like, it doesn't, like, they just have the visibility of this seems to bother no one, but anyway, he wrote his own editorial, and then the Wall Street Journal editorial board like backed him up and basically said, and so it's just turned into this whole, it's just, again, we've talked about Judge Clarence Thomas a number of times on this show. I always look forward to it.
Jeannie.
I
used to have a friend named Jeannie, and I really liked her, but Jeannie stuck by the pubic hair on the Diet Coke can.
She did. Yes.
She's in it. That's a good sign that someone is politically motivated. Where like they're like, well, I know my husband put his own pubic hair on his assistant's glass and been like, drink it. I was like, no. Yeah. So.
I'm not even going to pull up the article. I just wanted to make fun of him a little bit. Hold on, I didn't have the whole thing here. Prince Harry wanted to interview Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin on childhood traumas for Spotify. So there's another article this week.
I have not heard that. Wow.
There was another article this week from one of the CEOs at Spotify, and he basically called them grifters, and he said that they had a $20 million deal with them, which, like, on one hand, this dude's like calling them grifters. On the other, it's the same asshole who gave them $20 million. So,
right.
Let's weigh our. But I just dislike Harry and Meghan so much. It makes it fun. So anyway, so he called them grifters, and then basically this was like one of the. I'm guessing this was a leak that like here's one of the ideas that he pitched, and it was like, well, let's talk to Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin about their feelings. So that's kind of where he's at. They've been getting a lot of negative publicity in the press this week. I'm not gonna. There's been a lot of little other stories, but that's it on that front. And a fun one for the kids. Actually, I have two fun ones. So we're gonna end this on a happy note. The results are in. Maury Povich is launching his own at-home paternity service. I did
see that. Yay!
I did not know that.
Why that took 15 years to happen, I don't know, but that is a brilliant idea because you want to hear it from the man yourself. And I hope to God that he sends you a personalized cameo that just
that would be great,
wouldn't it? You are the father or you are not the father.
Yeah.
That would almost be willing, impregnation worth it. And one last one, which this one I was thrilled to see. I saw this a couple of days ago. But Bryan Cranston apparently has been working on writing new Malcolm in the Middle material.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I didn't have a chance. I didn't pull up their article that I originally read, but I think from that one, the one I remember said he wrote about, he was about 80% sure it was going to happen. So take that as what you will, but Bryan Cranston's like a big guy now. Like he probably can get pretty much where the fuck he wants done.
Deal.
Yeah. He was also amazing in that show. Just so
he was incredible, and he loves it. Which I love that. Like I love that. It's like I love when actors love their own, to the point where they're like, yeah, well, this is the hill to die on to get this made. So that's gonna be exciting. Like that's gonna be really cool. And I need a rewatch. You mentioned earlier that you had possibly begun rewatching, or at least there was a channel of Malcolm in the Middle. So
there's a Roku channel called Malcolm in the Middle, and you can watch the whole damn thing.
Well, very good.
That's great.
Yeah, well, very good. Highly recommended if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's very good.
I want to go back just a second about what you're talking about with what were you talking about before Bryan Cranston? We were talking about you know what? This might not be the best place to do it. Also, I'm taking oxycodone, so apologize everyone. I'm wrong. But there,
the Maury one. That was the one before.
The Maury one. So so like the fun thing about having a Maury cameo, which if people don't know what cameo is, that's where you can hire somebody to send you a personal message, right? Yes. And you can be like, okay.
Like Sinbad.
Yeah, I would love to do that the next time my dogs get pregnant. And once I know that they're pregnant for sure, I would absolutely hire that guy and just have him give me a Beth, congratulations. Those puppies are guaranteed. And, Billy Zane, I'm making fun of not the actor, but the dog, is the father. So that is now my new life goal with dogs. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that. That's
You're welcome.
Writing it down right now.
And that was the end of my headlines.
Well done.
Great headlines.
Awesome.
The last 10 days. Yeah.
I think you covered it.
Sorry if I don't know if I didn't steal any.
The Mark versus Elon thing, I saw that too, but your recap of it was perfect. Tice, what have you found over the last 10 days?
To be honest with you, I am super I didn't pull it up because I am crazy excited about a little slap fight between Zuck and Elon. I mean, it's just such a dumb thing, to happen, and I just really love it. But anyway, so here are my headlines. This is from Insider. Tucker Carlson was fired before he could give a conspiracy theory-fueled monologue alleging a January 6th protester was actually an FBI informant. So they're saying that is the reason he got fired, because he was going to roll that information that night.
Interesting.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So
well, if you haven't heard the latest, his replacement has officially been announced.
Oh,
any guesses?
Who is that?
Lynn Beck, Lou Dobbs. I mean, I'm just guessing here.
Oh man, it was the head. It's not Gutfield. Gutfield! Exclamation.
Gutfield.
Gutfield!
Gross.
Gutfield! It's that other guy. Let's see. FoxNews.com. No, I do not accept. No.
All right. While you're
I
looking that up,
forget. I forget. Anyway, it's not a big deal. We probably don't have a lot of Fox
is
News
is
viewers.
is he or she any good, or is he just gonna? Is
I
he
think
gonna?
it's one of the guys that already had a show. They just gave him the
He's not
prime
one of the
slot.
he's not one of the morning guys, right? Like Brian, whatever.
Actually, I think it's Jesse Waters. That's who it is. That
Oh,
guy. Yeah.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know enough about that anymore, but I do know
That's
that
okay. That's the less you know, the better. I think.
it's.
Totally.
This is from USA Today. I'm always fascinated with stories like this because where's the cash out? But you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. Family discovers roughly 1 million copper pennies while cleaning out Los Angeles home. Uh,
Damn.
did
Wow.
you guys read about this?
No.
No.
Okay, so what would you do with 1 million pennies? That's the question facing John Rees and his wife after discovering the discovery they made in her father's former home in Los Angeles. The pennies were found uh, in a crawl space. That's a lot of pennies, 1 million pennies. Uh, in the basement, and the family was trying to clean the goddamn house out, so they could sell it. So then they're like, well, Jesus Christ, we have all these goddamn pennies, so we should probably try to sell them. And they put them up for sale. And weirdly enough, people were like, well, I'll give you. So 1 million pennies is worth what? 10 grand? 100 grand? Does that sound
Like
right?
10 grand, I think.
10
10 grand,
grand.
My
right?
math
Yeah.
is correct. Yeah.
So he's getting offers, but they won't sell it because they want to sell it as a collection, which is arguably the dumbest thing I've ever. They're like, well, we can't go to Coinstar. We're not gonna get our money back. I'm like, they actually talk about
That's
that,
funny.
and I'm like, take it to CoinStand, get your money back. Don't give it a,
Yeah.
walk away
Give
from this situation. Your dad
absolutely.
was a nutbag. It's fine. And actually, this other weird thing that happened. My friend Beth, her friend Nikki died. Her mother died, I think on Friday, and so Beth and Nikki and one of Nikki's aunts went, and they found hundreds and hundreds of, uh, like pill bottles, like the kind you screw up, like just prescription pill bottles, right?
Hmm.
Just full of pennies, and they were all just hidden around the house. So, so people are weird. That's my bottom line. Um, let's see. So there's that one, and that was from USA Today. Let's see. What's the last guy I got here? Oh, I know you guys know this. I'm a huge fan of the giant squid.
Yes.
Big fan.
Yes.
Giant anything. Nothing has been caught, but this one even freaked me out. This is from CBS News. See the quote monster catfish nearly the size of a cargo van that was caught in Italy and may be a world record. Okay, so for those people at home, CBS News, monster catfish. Do the lookup. You will see the most insane, and I'm going to show it to these guys here because we're on camera. See
Wow.
that? What the actual fuck?
Holy crap.
That's
That's
crazy. Wait, it was like 9 feet long. Ew, gross. Its face.
Yeah,
wow.
no, it's fucking horrifying. Like, and the guy was like, "Well, I could barely get it in. So I decided I would get in the water with it and try to drag it. If there's a fucking, I mean, I don't know if you ever fish for catfish, but they have these giant mouths and these weird little eyes that don't actually work unless you're like underwater. And he got in there and drug that son of a bitch out. Took a picture of it, got it weighed, and of course they let it go because I don't know if you ever had catfish. It's not that good. So
It's all right. I'll eat some fried
no, me
catfish every
too,
once
me
in a while.
too. But I
But
mean,
they're bottom feeders, and it's not great. Yeah,
right,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they eat dirt for a living, so
yeah.
like and whatever it is. Um, so anyway, yeah, those are. It's not a lot of headlines, but those are my headlines.
They're good
Um,
headlines. It's
Those are
the
good. I
quality,
did
not
not
the.
know about that
yeah,
monstrosity.
it
Yeah,
was caught
those
in.
pictures. I double down on the checking those pictures out because they look almost fake. It's kind of crazy.
Fucking
The one
nuts.
the one with
Yeah.
him like with his hands pulling it out of the water is just like it just yeah it looks
Yeah.
it's pretty badass.
It's like, would you even go near anything like that? I mean, like,
And the picture with him and his hands in the mouth of it. Ugh, like that's terrifying. Why would no?
I mean,
I worry about this fella.
good for this catfish. He knew some tricks. He had some skills. He lived for a very long time. But anyway, yeah, definitely take a look it up. CBS News, uh, monster catfish. Take a look up. And those are my headlines.
Well done. Yay. I just have a couple. I would just like to say this happened a while ago, but I'm going to say it. Rest in peace, Tina Turner. I'm still sad about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. Didn't like it at all. Um, and then to uplift everyone in Denver news, the Nuggets won the NBA
They
championship.
did.
Yay!
Hey, uh,
That was actually awesome.
it was awesome.
I don't usually watch those shows, but I was like, I'll watch the playoffs sometimes. But yeah, it was super
Did
fun.
you watch any of the games, Tice? Like,
I watched a couple of the games. I
yeah,
didn't see the last game because I did not think they were going to win in four.
I didn't either.
But
And I actually said that to a couple people, including a Lyft driver, and it was not good.
I mean, technically, I guess
Huge Nuggets fan, yeah.
they lost in five. But I mean, but another thing that's happening around here is because one of the guys on that team who's on the bench, essentially, he was a KU graduate, so it was a huge deal around
Yep.
Kansas State.
I didn't know
Oh
that.
yeah.
Interesting.
So anyway, all right, go ahead.
Way to go, Nuggets. And then the last one I had, AI artist creates satanic panic about Hobby Lobby. Did you guys see that?
No,
No, but I'm looking it up.
Yeah. So this lovely woman, and I would like to give her some praise, Jennifer Vineyard, who I believe is out of Austin, and perhaps a pharmacist, if I'm remembering correctly. She used an AI generating tool called Midjourney and posted a bunch of fake pictures of all of this shit supposedly in Hobby Lobby, and it went viral, and people were freaking the fuck
I
out. Like,
love every
literally
part of this.
lost their shit. Highly recommend reading the whole story
Yeah,
and also
I found it
reading the
on
comments.
I found it on Vice. Wow, this is
Yeah, it's
hilarious.
fantastic. Like some of them, like there's this one woman who was like, well, I guess even Christian-owned companies can be bought for the right price. Severely disappointed.
Severely disappointed.
Oh, so if you're bored and you just want to peruse, it's pretty great. I mean, what she was able to capture, I'm very impressed with. So, yeah, way to go, way to go. I feel like she should maybe be one of our patron saints of the podcast.
She should probably be
Yeah,
elected.
yeah.
She should be elected to office. To be fair, like that. So
I know we haven't done interviews, but I would love to reach out.
I would too. That's a great idea, Smith. I will actually. I'll take that on. We'll try to get her on the show. Yeah. And that's it. Those are the headlines.
Yay!
Yay!
I deleted some of them.
News. Things that are happening
news.
around us. We have no control over.
We're informed.
It's just like the weather. We can't deal with it anyway.
Just like the weather. You guys want to do some plugs?
Certainly.
Sure.
Let's do it.
You, the ice cream manufacturer. You, the frozen food distributor. And you, the food retailer. Stand today in the midst of a selling revolution. For today, you're in a merchandising era of self-service, where display and accessibility are the key to successful merchandising. Yes, today's problem is merchandising. To sell in high volume for high profits, frozen products are impulse items. And impulse buying is primarily an emotional decision.
Plugs.
You know what? I'm gonna go first because I've been sitting around with my broken back for the last week. So I've watched a lot of bullshit. So here we go. Um, we watched the final season of Ted Lasso. Man, there was so much negative press about it, but I loved it. Didn't
I
matter.
did too.
Loved it.
Totally agree.
Yeah, so anyway, if you like Ted Lasso anyway, you're gonna love it. Doesn't matter. So, but I was just surprised at how many people have been waiting to complain about that movie and or that show and write bullshit about it. Anyway, I watched this movie called Confess Fletch, which is on Paramount Plus. Something
Hmm.
I've been meaning to watch for a long
As
time.
have I, so I'm curious.
You know what? It's great. It's like if you watch the original Fletch movies, there's Fletch and there's Fletch Lives. Um, imagine the wit of the lines that Chevy Chase, like would say, but not coming out of Chevy Chase's fucking dumb face. Um, it's great. I just really liked it. I really enjoyed it. So, I mean, it's. I actually read that John Hamm, who plays Fletch in this one, uh, didn't even take a he didn't even take a salary for it. He just wanted to make it so much. So,
Interesting.
um, yeah.
Wow.
So it's quite good. Um, do you guys? So, Matt, have you watched Renfield yet? I know Dawson has.
No,
Okay.
sorry,
All right.
I have not. I
Well,
will. I will put it on my list. I know. I promised. We
Well,
will.
it's streaming now, so you can find it.
Oh,
It's
very good. So I
pretty.
can watch it for free. Is what
That's
you're telling
correct.
me.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice. Or not
So
having to
actually,
obtain it otherwise.
I will say that my second watch, I liked it way better than the first watch. The first watch, I felt like I was watching Lethal Weapon 2, and there was this weird 80s nonsense about how the story kept moving forward. And that may still be true, but it doesn't actually matter
That
because
actually sounds appealing to me. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm more on board now than I was before. Your description.
I watched this movie called Missing. I saw it on Netflix. And basically, the whole story hinges around the fact that this daughter's wife, sorry, daughter's wife. That's weird. That would be a completely different movie, by the way. The daughter's mom goes on a vacation and disappears, and so what's interesting about it is that she's 17, maybe, and she uses all the shit and the tricks that people who know how to look up and figure out what's going on the internet, tapping into like live cams and all this stuff, which I assume all young children probably know, or like tech savvy children know how to do this already. So,
Yeah.
but I didn't know some of the tricks, and so if you're looking to see like something like that, it actually was really good, and there was a great twist at the end, I will say. So it's called Missing, and it's on Netflix. Um, there's a new animated show called Mulligan on Netflix. It is created by Sam Memes and Robert Carlock, who are Tina Fey's head writers, basically, in all their projects. You guys won't watch it because it's animated, but it's pretty good uh,
I actually
because
have an animated plug, so just
Oh,
for you guys. Just for
thanks.
you.
oh,
That's
wait a
nice.
Yeah.
spit in his eye. Oh,
Oh, good. I'll take that spit in my eye any day. As long as you guys are watching the acoustic animated shows, that's fine with me.
Acoustic animation. Yeah.
Anyway, the story is that aliens invade the Earth, and some dumbass, Boston mook ends up winning, and then or ends up beating them all by throwing a baseball into a thing, and it kills the whole like mind hive, and and so anyway, he becomes president, and it's a whole deal. And but I actually really enjoyed it. I laughed a lot. It's not great. But the more you watch it, the better it gets. I would say it's something along the lines of what they did with like Kimmy Schmidt. For the first few episodes, I was like, I don't know if I can get into this, and then
Mhm.
pretty soon you're like, okay, I'm totally into this. Um, there is a documentary on Max called Julia, which is about Julia Child,
Yep.
and it's
Is
from
it
her.
good?
It's excellent. It's from her own
Ah,
words.
cool.
So I know we all watched the Julia show that,
Series?
yeah, the series, but this was quite good. It didn't get so much into the drama or whatever, but it did. It was quite good. So I recommend watching that. I watched the Muppets Mayhem, which is on Disney Plus, which is basically like a behind the scenes story of Doctor Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. if you're if,
Cool.
if you're familiar with those guys, um, fantastic. It goes into some of their backstory, which makes no sense whatsoever, but it's cute, and the music is pretty good. Linda Perry did the music.
Nice.
If those of you don't know who she is, she had one big hit. She was in this band called Four Non Blondes, and says, "What's
What?
going on?" Yeah. Um, but anyway, she wrote a pretty nice bunch of songs, and so that is definitely worth watching. It literally is popcorn TV. It takes I don't know 6 hours to watch the whole show. Okay, so this one's a little weird. I watched this documentary called Room 237, which is on Prime. And 237 is a documentary about how they made The Shining.
Seen it.
Oh,
Very
that's
good.
been on my list forever.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, so
Cool.
what's great about it is it's it's a lot about how like, you know, Kubrick was like, "Nah, fuck you, Stephen King. I'm not using your bullshit. I'm going to write this whole thing." And and then and there's all the symbolism about the fact that that's how it ended up not working, and I don't want to spoil any of it. But there's like six or seven different experts, film experts. They were like, "Oh, this had to be about, I don't know, the fake moon landing. This had to be about, like, I mean, they prescribed all this kind of stuff." Matt, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like at first I was like, well, this is just getting stupid, like like no one would believe this stuff. But by the time they got around to the fake news, the fake, lunar landing that they, and he never says they didn't go to the moon, but what they did say was that Kubrick actually filmed on a soundstage what they broadcast, and what's interesting about it is that he relates that completely to the movie, and saying that like this movie is really about the fact that he couldn't tell his wife, Kubrick couldn't tell his wife about what happened, but you can just, if you listen to the dialogue and you see the things that are coming up and all this different shit, you can definitely feel like he's writing this about the fact that he can't tell anybody about it, so he's going to sneak it in there, into pop culture. um, which again sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but
It was a fascinating
definitely worth a
rabbit
watch.
hole. Like I like it's like regardless, like it was just like it's just fun, like how much shit they like all the details and just. And I actually watched. I hadn't seen the movie in years. I actually rewatched it because after I watched that, because I was like, it's like
Yeah, yeah, no, I,
Hell yeah.
I, I actually, I'm gonna watch the movie. I've never seen the full movie by itself, but I wanted to watch this first because I was like, okay, let me see what the other people think, and
yeah,
then
right,
watch it
yeah,
myself.
yeah.
Um, I did watch Reno 911: The Hunt for QAnon, which is on
Oh, cool.
just.
Oh, I was so excited like a year and a half ago when that came out, and I totally forgot about it. And now I'm less excited. And you don't sound that.
Oh no,
I don't know.
no,
You got the.
I actually really liked it. It's
Oh,
just
okay,
like
good, good.
it's just like 911, Reno 911. It has these low spots and these high spots.
Okay.
I will say that it has the first musical number they ever did, and it is fucking great. So, which is not what you expect from that group, but man, it was
Yeah.
really funny. Um, if you get a chance to watch it, would love to talk to you about some of the beats in the thing because it's so funny. Um, I just want to give a shout out to Roku TV. So I've been stuck in this. I can't sleep in a bed right now because I had back surgery. So I have to sleep in this recliner. And there's only so much things you can figure out what you want to watch, but Roku TV has a list of live TV channels. Now a lot of them are Pluto TV channels that they just sort of like sucked into their whole deal. Uh, but the money is there's two things. There's two monies. One, they have two different Mystery Science Theater stations running 24/7, so you can go back and forth depending on what you're going to watch. This is the part that got me. They have Antiques Roadshow 24/7 a day, and then the British Antiques Roadshow 24/7 a day. So,
Oh
uh,
shit.
yeah. So I mean, that is like my favorite shit, and also the stuff that puts me to sleep so fast. It's like it's amazing. It's like they're broadcasting. I don't know, Novocaine, not Novocaine, but you know what I'm saying about it. Anyway, so big fan of that. And oh yeah, and I guess I just wrote down Antique Roadshow again. Guess I have an idea. I had to go and buy new glasses, and it was so funny that watching so much Antique Roadshow made a huge difference in the frames that I bought just in this last month. So be careful, kids. You might end up going to garage sales and buying, I don't know, something
So
terrible and expect it to be worth millions of dollars, and it's worth nothing. So
yes, the kids are on the cusp of antiquing. They're
They're
right
on it.
there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
it'd be fun. I mean, to be fair, like it got the bug going with me. I was like, all right. So anyway, I'm sure I watched more than this, but those are the ones that stuck out in my mind. So next.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Smith?
Yeah, I've just got a couple quick ones. I'm sticking with it. The Crowded Room on Apple Plus. Have either of you watched The Crowded Room?
No, but it's next on the watch
Okay,
list.
so it's
You're
got
sticking with it?
yeah, it's got real bad reviews, like
Yeah, I saw
30% on
that.
Rotten Tomatoes, something like that. But again, it's modern television with a giant ass budget. It's got Tom Holland and Amanda Seyfried, which I really like Amanda Seyfried, and she's not good in this. That's
Oh, fuck.
probably
Really?
yeah. I don't think so. It's
Mm,
kind of a different role for her. She's kind of
yeah.
playing like kind of a detective, kind of tough, and something rubs me the wrong way. May just be me, but something's a little. It's it's interesting. It's based on a true story. Again, it's kind of a. I'm not going to give too much away because it's about a murder and or attempted murder and kind of weird plot twist. It's like a thriller, but I recommend it. Even though the public hates it, and that Man Seaver isn't great in it. So that it it's worth
A
your
soft
watching. It's
one?
worth your watching dollar.
All right.
Second one I had was not new this year, but on its second season, which I completely forgot it was premiering this June, was The Wonder Years, season two, the
Oh yeah,
Wonder
I
Years
saw that.
reboot.
Yeah.
Just came out a few weeks ago. I think they've got 4 episodes out, and excellent. It's again, I've said it. I was the biggest Wonder Years fan as a kid, and it's a better show. As much as it pains me to say it, but TV's in a different time. It's not a fair comparison to compare a network television show from 35, 40 years ago to a modern one because budgets are completely different, and so there's a lot of variables that I'm stepping over my words. Anyway, really good. You should check it out. Just very sweet, and you'll like it. And the last one is kind of a random one I had, but as Kathy and I were walking in Bloomington this weekend, I was crossing a street, and I looked down the street, and there was what I knew as a Toynbee tile. And have you ever heard
Oh
of a
yeah, yeah,
Toynbee
yeah.
tile? So you've probably seen my recommendation then, Tyson. So there's a
Actually, Matt, when I was in Indianapolis, I saw two different Turnby tiles when
did
I
you
was
really?
yeah,
So
when I was
that's
walking around.
interesting. So what I also for this will lead into my recommendation. Basically, what a Toynbee tile was basically in the starting as early as I think 1980, like 2 or 3, in major metropolitan areas, they would start seeing these like what would you call them? Like like in like a subway when you see like a cutout of like or they've like they've written something in the
Yeah,
tile.
I would say it's a tile plaque that
Yeah, like a
somehow
mosaic basically of like
that has words somehow etched in it, but it doesn't make any sense. But it's in the middle of a huge cross section of road,
right.
so it doesn't
And it's
make any.
actually done to a spec, I guess you would say, where it makes it road worthy. So these things lasted for years in like
Uh-huh.
major intersections. So they appeared in New York, Denver, Indianapolis. And
Yeah.
so I saw one of these when we were in Bloomington. And what it says is on the tile, just for those curious, it says Toynbee idea in movie 2001, resurrect dead on planet Jupiter. It's just that. That's
Yeah.
all it says. And it's just the most random. And so anyway, I think the documentary is about 10 years old, and
Mhm.
the documentary is called Resurrect Dead. It's on YouTube for free, so you can totally check it out. Dawson, you haven't seen this, you will like this. It's a really
Yeah.
interesting kind of,
Okay.
and what it is it's this guy who is just like fascinated by like these tiles, and he's got to figure out who's doing them, and ultimately does. And so it's just his sort of journey into discovering who actually is behind these tiles. So it's really interesting to see that it's actually even cultivated because I offer no delusion like this is a real Toynbee tile. I think there have been reproductions like in the last few, or
Mm.
I think people are doing this, and I actually looked on Reddit, the Reddit archives, to see if I could see anything about this, and a couple of people did post that like yeah they'd recently appeared within the last 4 or 5 years. So not originals, but it was again one of those things that like most people would never notice, and it was just like I
Wow.
freaked out, and
Yeah.
Kathy's like, why are you standing in the middle of a busy street? I was like, it's a Toynbee tile.
Matt, actually, when I got back from Indianapolis the last time that I was there, I actually watched that documentary. It's fucking fascinating. They pretty much figure out who the guy is,
They do, and they
and
figure out like how he. Because the amazing thing is like how do you like just think about the logistics of like putting a tile mosaic in the middle of a busy road where it's actually like sealed in tar and like it's a tough
yeah, like
thing
a
to do.
like imagine Vine and 27th Street. Like they somehow in the middle of the night, that's in Hayes, Kansas. Somehow in the middle of the night, cut this little thing out, put it in there, and then walked away, and it stayed because they put it in there so well.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, so
So
anyway,
yeah,
yeah, really good documentary. Highly recommended. Called Resurrect Dead. Do a super on YouTube, and it's absolutely totally free, except maybe for some commercials.
Nice.
And
I'm totally checking that out.
those are the goods for this week.
no,
Dim's the
I
goods.
saw one in Columbus. I saw one in Columbus. I saw one in Indianapolis. Um, I saw one in New York. So yeah, when you
Wow.
see them, you start taking pictures of them.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like,
exactly right. Like I don't think anybody else probably looked at that thing. It's interesting. You're like, oh shit, that's a Toynbee tile, and it's like a club you get to join. It's interesting.
yeah,
Oh, that's
It's
dope.
free.
It's
Uh,
free.
it's free.
Dawson,
And
what did you
also
watch?
that guy, by the way, that guy that did it. If you watch the documentary, that guy is a genius and also a nutbag. Like
Yes,
it's, I
that's
mean,
very true. Yes.
Yeah.
it's really.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that like that guy's got one documentary in him, and that was it. Like that's
Right,
That's it. Yeah,
right, yeah.
but they're still very good. Still very good.
All right, I'll run through these real quick. I have quite a few movie plugs, but the first one and probably the top one is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish,
I've heard
which
that's
is
good.
on Peacock, and it's quite good. If you're looking for a well done animated film, Antonio Banderas voices the part
Antonio
of Puss
Banderas.
in Boots,
It's
and
been a long
Selma
time since I've heard
Hayek
that
is in
name.
it, and the guy from what is his name? Guillermo from the Vampire Show on FX.
Yeah, what we
Oh
do
my
in the
god,
shadow.
yes,
Yeah.
Tice. He's one of the characters in it. It's really cute. It's very entertaining. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. So check that out. It's on the cock. And then there's a new doc miniseries on Max. So stupid. I'm just gonna call it HBO.
You know what?
Called
I don't think they're. I love the idea of somebody like if what you just said catching on. It's like catch it on the cock. You know, catch it on the cock. 2 weeks from now, Saved by the Bell season 3. You know.
I'm into it. But yeah, I would also recommend the Smartless on the Road mini series
Oh yeah,
with
yeah.
Jason Bateman. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It is fucking hilarious. It's literally just three best friends hanging out, going on tour together, and it's shot in black and white. It's really well done. I
My
loved it. I can't wait to watch it
my
again.
sister oftentimes mentions that she loves our podcast, but her favorite podcast is. I did this.
Sally, that is
I
so
like it.
funny because it's true. It's great. I
Absolutely.
love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. And then what else? There is a new movie on Peacock on the cock again, called The Year Between. And it's all about this girl who is suffering from mental illness, and Steve Buscemi plays her dad. The woman who plays Jerry in Succession plays her mom. It's fucking hilarious. And she actually reminds me of Sarah Odom a lot in like the craziest ways and the best ways. Odom, don't get mad at me, but it's like, it's such a great movie. And then Smith, I wanted to tell you, I saw the Judy Blume documentary and I loved it. It's
Yeah,
like
very
one of the
nice, yeah.
best movies I've seen in a really long time.
Have
Tice, you
you
got to watch that.
now?
No,
Now have you seen, or maybe it's your? I'm not gonna take it. Nope, you probably got it coming up, so I'm not gonna ask. There was a movie that came out
Maybe.
There's a movie that came out that just had your name written all over it, so I assume you
Yep,
probably
it's probably
saw it,
coming
but
up.
yeah,
Probably coming
I'm sure
up.
it's probably.
There's
Okay. No.
also another movie to rent called Blackberry. That's
oh,
quite good.
Yeah,
And
I've
it's
been curious
like
about that.
$4 or $5, and it's all about, because I didn't really know the story of BlackBerry and how Steve Jobs just kind of was like, "Oh, that's cute. Here's the fucking iPhone," and then everything
Yeah.
that got killed. It's great. It's got, what is his name? Glenn Howerton. Is that right, guys? From It's Always Sunny.
Funny.
yeah.
Yep.
He plays one of the main characters in it, and he's
Isn't
fantastic.
Jay Baruchel? Isn't he the main character?
Yes.
Yeah, Jay
Yeah.
Baruchel, yeah,
Yep.
from
Yep.
Undeclared, which I'm sure you won't even remember.
Undeclared, Freaks and Geeks. Yeah, he's awesome in it too.
Also, a pretty good couple hockey movies he made. I can't remember what they were called, but he was very good in those.
I like him a lot. I like that he's doing stuff. So it's
Yeah,
good
no,
to
it's
see
been a while
him
since I've seen him, so it's good to see he was working.
working.
Like seeing people get work.
And then my last plug. I have an album too, Bayonne. I don't know if you guys listen to them, but they put out an album called Temporary Time, and it's fucking great. So listen to that, and then new movie in the theater by my favorite director, Smith is smiling. And Tyson knows. Wes Anderson, Asteroid City. It's very good. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, is it one of my favorite Wes Andersons? I don't know. It's definitely somewhere in the middle for sure. But I just love that guy. It's probably the best looking film he's done. The art direction is
The
pretty
buzz was
perfect.
that it was kind of, at least what I saw was that it was one of the better movies he's done recently. Would you concur with that? All right.
I would say so, because French Dispatch, I feel like he was like working through some ideas that he finally put together, and it paid off in this movie.
Well, okay.
And
Yeah.
So
there's great actors in, like, people that he hasn't worked with before: Tom Hanks, Steve Carell. I don't want to say too many others. There's a surprise in there. Yeah, it's great. I love it.
What is the last good, in your opinion, because you are our guy here on the scene? Was it the Grand Budapest? Was that the last great movie that he put out, do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not just because the movie poster is hanging in our dining room area, which it is.
Say,
we have a Wes Anderson wall. But
just to make it hard, what do you think his worst film is?
Oh, I know which one. I mean, in my opinion.
You know? Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to hear your opinion first.
the
Because this
Tannenbaum,
is like,
the Royal Tannenbaum.
no,
That's
that's
my
Tyson.
that's one of
Really?
yeah. That's my
That's
that.
one of my favorites.
Well, I
That's
mean,
like in
You
my
know what?
top
That's
three.
what so here's why I'm interested in Tyson's answer, because that's kind of about the time I stopped watching. I loved everything he did up to that, and
Yeah.
that's kind of when I stopped. I don't know. I don't even remember what the movie was about, but that's kind of where I fell out of it. So
Well, you guys don't have dysfunctional families, so there probably wasn't a lot of
that could be.
relating to the content.
all right,
I
touche.
mean, because it was a Bottle Rockets. Was that his first? Did he
Yeah,
do
Yeah,
that
Bottle?
Bottle
was
Rocket
Bottle
was his
Okay,
Rocket.
first.
Bottle Rocket's
yeah,
incredible. Yeah.
and then he did Rushmore, and then he
But
did.
Bottle Rocket, and Jonas brought this up yesterday, it doesn't have that thumbprint that he's known for
No,
on
but I
it.
That's
Like,
mean,
it's
true.
just a really good, like, indie movie.
it's a
Yeah.
good indie movie. It's not his
Yeah.
complete OCD taking over the
Yeah.
entirety of
Yeah.
his
And that
vision, right?
thumbprint's expensive.
It is very expensive. Oh my god.
But I
I
do
would
like I
hate
love
to be a part of that crew.
I love that like he is like I love the look. Like I like at
Yeah.
some point like it seemed like that overtook the narrative, and I was just kind of like okay. And I don't remember I thought it was Royal Tenenbaums, but anyway.
But
But
I mean,
probably I will check it out.
I think it's Isle of Dogs for me. Like, I really loved Fantastic Mr. Fox and the stop animation stuff. And Isle of Dogs, the movie going experience was really great, but the actual movie itself, I felt out
Yeah.
of all of them
yeah,
falls a little flat.
I'll give you that. I mean, like but and here's my problem with Tannenbaum is that I think I saw was that Run Lola Run? No, it was
Oh,
that movie Emily. I saw that the same week that I saw Royal
Amelie?
Tenenbaums. Amelie, yeah,
Amelie or Amelie?
Amelie.
Yeah.
Amelie?
The
So I
French movie
yeah, so
With
about
I
yeah.
words
saw
on the
so
screen?
I saw both of those the same week in the theater, and I was just like,
Oh, well,
I was
fine.
like,
There's no comparison.
I know, I was just
Amelie
like,
is like one
Yeah.
of the best movies ever made.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't fair, but like I can't help it. I mean, I just was like, I was like, and I did enjoy the Royal Tenenbaums, and I will watch it when it comes up on TV, even though that's harder and harder without cable. But
Great soundtrack, great
Yeah.
music in it.
oh yeah, yeah. So you saw it in the theater, huh?
Royal Tenenbaums, yeah.
No,
And
no,
I
no,
also
no,
had
no, no,
the
no,
what?
no. The new one.
Yes.
Okay.
I just saw it this weekend at Alamo Draft House, which
No.
is my favorite movie going
I know.
I'm
experience.
guessing that place is
I'm gonna
full.
plug the shit out of them.
I feel bad.
It's great.
They've closed all the ones local here, which is a bummer. But
I feel bad for you too, Tice,
Oh,
because
that's
it's
I
a
didn't know
fucking
that. I hadn't
bonus.
heard that. That sucks.
I
Mhm.
do
Smith,
have.
I feel like they have some Alamos near Indianapolis. They should.
We have like the whatever they call the I don't know, like Hollywood Magic Movie Night or whatever, where you go. I mean, we're the same kind of concept, but I don't think we have one. Um,
I sorry. I just want to get this. I forgot to plug this. I had even pulled it up on my phone and I hadn't done it. So there's a movie that they made fun of on rifftracks.com called Inspector Mom, which is Winnie Cooper, whatever her real name is. Um,
Oh yeah, she's still acting.
she's the lead.
Oh wow.
This was supposed to be a backdoor like way into a series, and all I could think of was Matt would love this movie.
what's it called again?
It's called Inspector Mom. It also has a secondary title called Soccer Mom Detective. That's the other thing they called it.
Oh well, it's Danica McKellar, Winnie Cooper's in it, so that
Yep.
certainly helps it.
And there's a lot of jokes about the fact that whenever she does math, they're like, "Oh, this is supposed to prove how smart she is because she's a mathematical
Right.
whiz."
Oh, so they actually like made a
Oh.
movie based on the fact that Winnie could do math.
No,
That's,
no, no,
oh.
no. They didn't. But I mean, when you're watching it and she does calculations really fast, you're like, okay,
Oh, right. Okay.
I get it. But yeah, you can, and I actually looked it up. You can find it on Paramount Plus. You don't have to watch it on. You don't have to watch the Riff Tracks version. But I would
Oh,
recommend the Riff Tracks version. You got Plex. You'll be able to find it.
I
So,
will actually, I will download the. I'm guessing a lot of the original dialogue I can miss. So just
anyway, there's a bunch of movies that I can't, but I can't go back to work until the 10th or something like that because my back or whatever, But so there's a bunch of movies that I really want to go see that are straight up Tyson movies. The Indiana Jones movie, the new
Yeah.
yeah.
Spider-Verse movie,
Yep.
the anyway. So I'm looking forward to going see all that stuff. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, that's interesting. Moonrise Kingdom. That was kind of one of your. Was that the first date you went on with
It
Charlotte?
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was our first date in general.
That's
We saw that.
That's a cute movie and nothing to do with Jonas, but it's also not one of my favorite movies. By him.
I think it's somewhere in the middle for me too. It's more of like the sentimental value, I think, that moves it up the
It's
ladder a little bit.
Sure,
But as
that's
a
fair.
movie, like alone,
as
I
funny
don't know about that.
as we will watch every goddamn Chuck Norris slash Chuck Norris sorry Nick Cage movie. We've never actually decided to watch all of some good person's movies and watch them through. So
What's
maybe that
the fun in that?
I
Right.
know
That's
Yeah.
I know
like I can't do that with Tom Hanks movies because most of them will make me cry. Bastard. Uh,
Wilson.
Turner and Hooch, don't get me started. All right, guys. That is all.
That is
Gotta
all.
go have some
Yeah.
wings,
People got to
baked
sleep.
wings,
People got to
and I
sleep.
gotta pee too.
Oh, that's it.
Um,
Also got to
good
pee.
to see you guys. Tice,
You too.
glad you're back. Is coming back.
It's coming back.
Is coming back.
We may not talk again until you get back from your 40th anniversary. I'm so sorry I can't be
Hey,
there.
cool.
So
It's
sorry.
okay. We'll celebrate soon
all right.
somewhere.
Yes.
Probably Indianapolis.
Yeah.
We'll do a
Yay.
redo.
We're still here. We're still hoping to get together at some point. But
Anyway.
Got to check out the Smith City.
Anyway,
But yeah,
the city.
feel better, Tice.
It's mine. Yes, absolutely.
Beforehand,
Glad you're doing better.
happy birthday, Doss and Matt. Just to cover my bases, happy birthday next year.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. God damn it! I don't like being 46. I don't like it at all. I hadn't thought about it until just now. All right.
Fuck you! I'm gonna tell this story one more time. Everyone's heard this story.
Hey guys, I'm still in my 30s, all right? So I don't really know. What you're talking
Everybody's heard this story. Matt and I ran into a bar. We were going out to drink, and Matt tells me, I had a dream I was 28 last night. And I said, I'm 28. And he goes, I know. Tell that story till I'm dead. I had a nightmare last night that I was 28.
I still had that nightmare, Tyson. That's just crazy.
I love it. Classic Smith. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Good to see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
I mean, I'm going to put that on your Christmas card one day. Something on 3, 4.